This is a 2011 Honda Civic LX that rear-ended a truck. The truck's rear end just went right above the bumper here. So it went right into the AC compressor and the radiator and the grill and the hood. It bent the fenders, and since the fenders were hit here, it bent them where they connect to the door. The bumper itself just kind of came downwards. It didn't actually, and all the mounts broke off, but it was all in one piece. The headlights were all the mounting points were broken off, and the back of the headlights were broken. The battery was pinched a little bit from the frame pinched in, that because the frame was pinched in a little bit, and then the radiator overflow and the radiator pipe itself was a little bit crimped up because the radiator was pushed back, so it shortened it and kind of tangled the line a little bit. But that was the extent of the damage. And then the hood as well was quite bent. So here's another shot. You can just see that the hood was bent there, and the radiator. And there's a little aluminum colored piece that goes over the grill right here. That if you Google a picture of a Honda Civic, you can see it. And here you can actually see where the fender was really messed up on the right side of the car, where the door, when you opened it, it actually ran into the fender. So when you open the driver door, it would actually rub against it. Now, after the car was brought to the Geico adjuster, they took off the fenders and they kind of assessed the damage, and they decided that it would cost too much to repair the car. Their estimates were around $6,000 or $8,000 for all the cosmetic damage, and then getting it all matched up again to the stock color. They were probably saying you need a new hood, new fender, new bumper, new radiator, new AC compressor, new battery. I didn't notice any frame damage. They took off the bumper support here, but the bumper support itself was untouched. The new AC compressor, new radiator, new battery, new headlights, new fenders, probably new tires, even though I didn't think they needed it, but they might have said it did. And so they did a total loss, so I was able to buy this back as you're seeing it now. There's the left side. And it was really bent right in here. This area here is really bent. And now let's see what I was able to do to kind of just Frankenstein it back together. My goal was just to get it to be drivable again, spending the least amount of money. I could have done a way better job and spent a couple more $1,000s in going to pick and pulls and getting these parts, but what I was able to do is just bend back the fenders and the hood by hand. It's very, very thin metal. And a couple of other things that I did, you'll see in my video, that made it drivable again. So the headlights were cracked. What I did was I duct taped the back of them so water wouldn't get into them very easily. Most of the mounts were broken, but I was still able to kind of fit it in there, and there was 2 tabs left. So I strap tied one tab, and then the other tab actually was able to screw into the frame. This piece here is totally bent, and that's why the radiator sits forward a little bit. I also had to extend out the mounts by using longer screws, and I had to extend out the hood lock because I think it was a combination of the hood is bent a little bit, and as well as this is definitely bent. I bent it out a little bit by pulling it off and then trying to bend it back with with pressure and some vice grips and a vise, and it worked pretty well. The AC fan here was a little bent, so the fan would rub. What I did was I pulled that off, and then I just bent it. It was very soft metal, and I could bend it back. And then I ground off a little bit of the propellers, but I kept it even with a grinder. So it's still going to produce a good airflow. And I've already tested it out. It works great. So the radiator works. The air conditioning I got working again. The hood actually locks and closes now. The fender is really just a DIY job. It's not screwed in. All the screw holes did not match to the subframe. So what I did was I just got some metal screws and tied them in. The actual bumper is screwed in here and here, and I also have it attached to this grill. And it's attached. It still attaches on the bottom. The bumper itself, there's a metal bumper here. When this car was hit, it went right over the bumper. So the bumper itself was never touched. So the bumper is still really good in here. What happened was the truck that this car hit, it went right above the bumper. So it crushed all this
but it left the bumper and the frame fine. The other thing is the radiator overflow is not sitting properly. Typically it mounts right here, but I wasn't able to get that to fit. What I can do is I can extend this tube out and then raise it up and then have an easy access. But for now I just left it like that. I'll eventually fix that. The battery was crinched in right here from this piece. It ran into it. I unbolted it and I noticed that it never actually punctured the battery. So the battery is actually still fine. I've been driving it now and it's totally fine. So this is a total DIY job, but everything is back together. It cost me, I already had all these nuts and screws, I had all these screws laying around my house. I had the grinder already. I had the vice grips already. The fenders, I bent back by hand. It's a very soft metal. The hood didn't line up. I added a couple washers to where the hood connects to the hinges there, and that kind of let the hood out a little bit so it can connect to this hood lock.
Here's the finished product. I haven't put this aluminum piece back on yet. I'm not sure if I want to because it already is kind of Frankenstein, and I kind of like the way it looks. You can see this is definitely the worst angle where you can see the hole in the hood a little bit. I might be able to bend that back a little bit, but I'm afraid that it's going to crack the paint if I bend it anymore. Other than that, there's a little gap here, but that's nowhere, and you can see a little here. But compared to what it looked like when it was first in the accident, it's night and day. This is a way better angle. You can see the hood sculpts way better here, and I got it to match up here pretty well. And it used to rub right here when you open the door. The door opens and it would run into the fender. So there is a little bare paint showing right here, but I ordered a bottle of paint online that I could just, it's like nail polish, and I could just brush that right on there to not have any more exposed paint. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, please comment below. This was a fun project for me, and I hope you enjoyed it.